I went to New York and I shot some of the HARMAN Phoenix film. Well, actually, before that, I went to a bar with Alex and we listened to the HARMAN people talk about Phoenix. And now, I'm gonna talk about Phoenix. Let's roll some of that New York footage for the added production value. As you may have already heard, HARMAN, the company that makes Ilford black and white film, have released their very own color 35mm film stock manufactured by themselves in-house. Not a rebrand, not an old stock, but the beginnings of a new one. Phoenix 200. When the film launched, I went to an event at a bar in Toronto with some of the HARMAN reps, along with my friend Alex, and we got some rolls. Alex made this face, and we hung out with a bunch of fun film nerds, and we all talked about cameras and stuff. This was perfectly timed, as I was also heading down to New York with my friends Ben and Henry, and I brought some Phoenix along for the trip. We made the bold choice to drive the 9 hours from Toronto to New York. Henry bought Ben and I a ton of snacks, unprompted.
9-hour drive, I don't know how much we need to eat. And then there's also 12 muffins in there, right? So those are for you guys. I'll probably just stick with the gum.
And we drove and drove.
Why do you have to pay off your credit card before we enter America?
So I don't feel bad about money spending when I'm over there. The money's already been spent.
I got endless joy from watching Henry use a disposable camera all weekend.
Damn it! Let's get a picture, Ben. Look at the passports.
We drove some more and more. Passed through Rochester, saw some Kodak buildings, but Kodak, this video isn't even about you.
They don't have the Dream Donut. When you say Dream Donut to an American Tim Hortons employee, it unlocks them, it frees them.
Stayed in a hotel, woke up.
Let's do some morning yoga.
Morning, Henry.
Ben drove some more, and a bit more. Wow, time to actually load the roll that the video is kind of for, I think. Up until this point, I was halfway through a roll of street candy MTN 100 black and white, which I had needed to just finish off.
Well, so cool. There's Ben back there, freshly peed.
Finally, we drove and drove and drove just a bit more.
The Freedom, what do they call it? The Peace Building or the Freedom Building? The Peace Tower? They call it the Peace Tower.
And got into New York City.
Yeah, let me put my head up a little bit when I move. Oh, I can't put the windows down back there.
It is December 8th, December 9th, one of those. And it's like 14 degrees and really sunny in New York, so somehow we perfectly timed it.
Have you had a good time so far, Henry?
I don't know. Have I?
Yeah, but one of them goes up, one of them goes down.
Spent literally 5 hours in the city, and then it got dark at 4:30 p.m. just as, you know, it does right now. Henry?
Nah, it's made for white
Ben.
people. It's not gonna get me.
Yeah. Now you look good. Now to go to the actual thing that brought us to New York, which was not for me to shoot a roll and a half of film, it's to see LCD sound system. Henry grabbed a few Z's in the car. And we saw a great show.
but you're bringing me down.
Went back to the hotel. Ben mistakenly got us 2 twin beds. Henry slept on the floor.
I do a lot of yoga. I'll be fine. I'm just sleeping with a block of wood in my back now. Just a block of wood.
Then we drove and drove and drove some more. And by we, I mean Ben, because Ben did all the driving that weekend and Henry and I put up no fight on that. Ben and Henry worked on their Werner Herzog impressions.
New York, I love you, but you're bringing me down.
And finally, we got home, exhausted. Back in Toronto, and there's actually sun out today, which means that maybe I can get through row number 2 of Phoenix. Okay, actually it's super warm and very sunny today, which is alarming for like the 15th of December, but I'll take it. I dedicated the rest of this roll to some quick self-portraits. Quick shout out here to Flickfilm. This video isn't sponsored, but Flickfilm sent me a free little C41 developing kit and I processed these 2 rolls of Phoenix myself. This is a standard dev bleach fix kit for color developing, but it boasts being made with 53% less chemicals, which is kind of cool. Let's take a closer look at Phoenix somewhere that isn't out here. Much warmer. Phoenix 200 is crunchy. And I feel like I use crunchy to describe a lot of films, but Phoenix 200 is crunchy. It's a bit of a wild film so far from my experience, and that seems to be the consensus online from other results that I've seen as well. The contrast hits pretty hard, and you can easily lose shadow and highlight detail in your images. It doesn't have much flexibility, and especially if you underexpose, you'll lose a lot of your image pretty quickly. I watched the Grainy Days video that he put out for Phoenix where he talked to some of the Harman R&D guys, and they said that the film is technically closer to a 100 ISO film, so treating it as such is maybe the smarter move. And it is grainy. For a 200 ISO film, I normally expect a much finer grain, but Phoenix is super punchy in the grain department. Really though, the characteristic that sticks out the most for me, and the one that will probably put a lot of people off, or turn a lot of people on to it, is the halo around almost any light source. This film lacks anti-halation layers that are typically built into traditional C41 films, such as Portra or Ultramax, and as a result, the highlights on Phoenix go pretty hard with that bloom halo effect around them, similar to what people love or hate about Cinestill film. The colors are there though. It does favor like greens and reds, I think. Not the best time of year here for shooting a film like that, but I do like it. I scanned these 2 rolls myself and edited them in Negative Lab Pro through Adobe Lightroom. And I did my best to soften things a bit, but I don't feel that I've drastically changed the look of the film. But I did have 1 roll scanned at a lab that uses Noritsu scanners just as a quick comparison. The Noritsu lab scans are fine, I just don't think that the contrast and color is great on all the shots, but some further editing would help things out. It is easier to try to maintain a bit more detail in the highlights with camera scanning though. And because you can change your camera settings, of course, you can really try to play around with getting the most out of this film. Sometimes these machines aren't going to do the best job with these abnormal color negative films. They're not as set up to work with things like Phoenix or the Orwo NC400-500 film. Even the odder Lomo films like Purple and Turquoise aren't really things that normally lab scanners are going to be calibrated for. It's tricky looking at these kind of new color negative films that are a little unique. You know, they're not the orange, classic looking color negative stuff that labs are set up to handle and scan using their machines really easily. So it becomes like, yeah, the best kind of results you're gonna get from working with these films is scanning it yourself at home and taking the time to kind of go through and edit all those images. But that just makes things feel a little too restrictive for my liking. I think that professionally run photo labs are incredibly important, even though it is easy to look at this hobby and be like, well, I see so many people, you know, home developing and home scanning, and that's what I have to do in order to really get the best out of my film. You don't have to do that, but it is a little tricky with unique films like these where, you know, some of these lab scanners and things like that aren't necessarily set up to handle the film in a way that might be in line with the results that you're seeing from other people who are scanning it themselves. Lab results with these films are just gonna be hit and miss sometimes, and it really depends, you know, on like what lab you're using. The reason that this film is so funky for scanning is because it looks like this. Purple, very purple. Not Lomo purple though, which isn't like a purple negative. It's an experimental film stock, basically. And it doesn't really look much like anything that's out there right now.
Stepping into the unknown, they entered a new world, filled with colour couplers, dyes, and complex layer constructions. With each experiment, they learned something new. And after 12 short months of adjusting, testing, and tweaking, the very first cassettes came down the production line.
I think overall my favorite thing about Phoenix is how Harman is approaching this project. They've been surprisingly transparent about this film. They're investing into R&D, they're manufacturing the film in-house on their own machinery, and best of all, they're engaging with the film community. The Harman reps have been traveling around and doing events to promote the film and to, you know, talk about it with the people that are going to be buying it and shooting it. They did an event here in Toronto at Downtown Camera, and then later that day they did an event and paired up with the Toronto Analog Friends for the thing that Alex and I went to. They gave out free rolls of the film, and that is like literally all that takes to make us happy sometimes. You don't see other companies really doing that for things. Like, you're never gonna see Kodak make that kind of effort and go out and travel around and show off, you know, just like what they're working on, or, you know, explain like, we've been raising prices, we know it's been crazy, but this is what like we're investing in. But seeing a company like Harman do what they've been doing is much more exciting, because it shows that they have, you know, a passion for continuing on with this project and engaging with the people who they like need to engage with so that the project can continue.
Help us to create the products that you want to see by sharing your feedback and following our progress.
Now, surprisingly, in the 2020s, there have been a number of new color film projects, which is something that 5 years ago when I started this channel, I wouldn't have necessarily expected to see as much as I have seen. Harman has Phoenix, Orwo has Wolfen NC400, NC500, and ADOX had Color Mission. Orwo has been so uncommunicative about how things are going with their color film and like what the future of that project is. I looked at some rolls, I didn't love it, but I'm most interested in seeing where it might go and hopefully improve in the future. ADOX Color Mission is something that I looked at like a year and a half ago now, and I loved that film. It looked good, colorful, contrasty, consistent, like it was a well-made film, but they haven't talked about that project in a while now. Color Mission was also a film that ADOX worked on with another company that went bankrupt at some point. Which sounds bad, but ADOX did talk about how they're working to continue this project without whatever company that was. So I'd love to see more film like that, but it might be far off. I do enjoy the look of Phoenix from the couple of rolls that I've shot so far. I have a third roll kicking around that I'm gonna hold on to for like a little bit, But I think maybe the biggest thing for people to get over initially is it's a little pricey for what it is. It's priced around $14 American, which it comes in closer to like $20 Canadian. So a little difficult to encourage people to shoot a lot of, but I think it's worth picking up and exploring a roll or two if you have the access to it. But I'm not going to promise you that it's going to be like a perfect experience with using that film. At the end of the day, I applaud Harman for what they're doing. Making color film is very difficult, and it would have been so much easier for them to not even try. And when I went to the Harman event, I took one of the big film display boxes, which is probably the greatest gift of them all. And now I need a really, really big camera. Thank you so much for checking this out. You can find information in the description down below. I bought a couple of these rolls here at Downtown Camera. They also did the lab scanning on their Noritsu machines for this video. Not sponsored by them at all, so you can just find a link in the description down below. Thank you to the Harman people for doing this. You can also find things down in the description below for ways to support the channel through some merch, the Patreon, some affiliate links for different places like Pro 8mm and Freestyle Photo and Polaroid. And thank you so much, and as always, I'll see you all soon, probably in the new year. I don't think anything's coming out before the new year now, so this might be it. Hey, I'm back inside now. Actually, I have a little bit of mail that is on the other side of the room. Hey Noah, thank you for all the great analog videos. Hope these rolls work for you. The Panatomic X has worked great, just an expected amount of base fog. The Agfachrome, who knows? The 1000 ISO C41 it was stored with did work. At least the box looks cool. All the best for 2024, Ben. Thank you, Ben. He sent Panatomic X. This is Panatomic X in medium format, expired in December of 1974, so recent, March of 1988 for the 35mm film. Panatomic X is a much loved but quite expired or discontinued black and white film that Kodak used to make. Let me know if you've shot Panatomic X and why it is so beloved in the comments down below. Also, this is Agfachrome slide film, 1000 ISO Agfachrome that expired in February of 1986. I might not hold my breath on this. Maybe I'll shoot it. I don't know. I think I have some other really expired high ISO slide film, and that is not guaranteed to work ever. But to reiterate from myself outside, thank you so much. I'll see you in the new year.